Oh, God. And it's so repulsive. It seems like every single girl that I visit. Or she had B.O. Oh!
I'm selling songs.
You're working.
I'm working just for one night.
A thick cloud caught a piper cub's tail. The match struck blue on a railroad.
Rocket port takes off again into the wind.
You ready?
I think it's a very, very important record label, and it captured that moment in time, and Frank absolutely accomplished exactly what he set out to do.
You know, he was sort of the king of Laurel Canyon and the king of this freak scene at the time in '68. And I think he felt that, you know, this was a fraction of the society that most people would never know about or have never heard about. And if it wasn't for him to document it, people never would.
What Zappa did was give a voice to people who otherwise would barely have got a look in, really. Stuff that you would never imagine finding in a record shop. And with Zappa's stamp of authority, the rock world accessed this extraordinarily rich vein of, you know, something that was beyond hippie, beyond alternative.
The release of the Mothers of Invention's debut album, Freak Out, in 1966, signaled the arrival of a totally original voice in popular music. Operating out of Los Angeles, California, Frank Zappa and his band fit neither into the dominant folk rock movement initiated there by the Byrds, nor the developing psychedelic movement that would soon find its utopian center in San Francisco. Combining humor, parody, and social commentary with music influenced by the blues, R&B, and avant-garde classical composers, the band was seemingly at odds with the West Coast rock scene around them. Nevertheless, the double LP did secure the outfit a sizable underground following in the US and wider acclaim in Europe, and their 1967 follow-up, Absolutely Free, saw them expand their audience significantly. The band's relationship with their label, MGM Verve, was strained from the start, however, and by the release of their third album, We're Only In It For The Money, recurring conflicts had convinced Zappa that he needed to wrestle control from executives who didn't understand his vision.
The main reason for Frank wanting to jump labels and start his own label was because a lot of problems he had with MGM and Verve. One was that them taking it upon themselves to edit his material, you know, which was, you know, something he couldn't live with. And there was a lot of problems, obviously, with We're Only In It For The Money. That was the first one that they started messing with. So I think from that point on, it was in his mind to get on another label. Whether there were labels, you know, banging at his door to sign him at the time, I don't know. You know, the Mothers were popular to a degree, but they weren't that popular.
All along, Zappa was always, to be quite honest, a bit of a control freak. I mean, he liked to have complete control over everything, the sleeves, the publicity, the distribution, if he could. And so even during the days of MGM, I mean, he took control of the advertising budget, and by creating his own advertising company called Nifty, Tough and Bitchin', which put all these ads in the underground press, and it was through that entity that he started something called United Mutations, which was the closest thing the Mothers of Invention ever had to a fan club. So he had a lot of control, but the one thing he didn't have control of was the actual release of the records. So he did need his own vehicle, and which is why Straight and Bizarre came about.
And key to turning Zappa's aspirations of artistic freedom into a reality was his manager, Herb Cohen. Having promoted concerts and run coffee bars and folk clubs in the 1950s and early 60s, Cohen was a connected man. With the ailing MGM Verve obstructing Zappa's output, but with 1 year still to go on his contract, the pair set up Bizarre Productions, with the intention of not only taking control of the recording of the Mothers' albums, but also to develop over time a roster of other artists.
Herb Cohen was really essential, I think. Zappa was really fascinated by him because Zappa had grown up working for these tiny little independent record companies and recording all kinds of weird sort of parody records and stuff, and sort of sub-doo-wop records under all these different names. And Herb sort of came out of that sort of background. So Herb, to him, was the into the very centre of that Los Angeles rock and roll record scene and the small independent labels, which is where Frank saw his individual freedom being, located.